Start recording. So I think so far we were learning about DAX, and we had completed something which is. Can anybody just give me a brief, like what topics have we covered? Where are we right now?
We were learning about the DAX formulas. So in the DAX, we got an introduction of DAX, like what is DAX and how do you use it. In DAX, we are looking at the functions. One is aggregate and iterative functions. In aggregate, what do we do? Like how do you write the formula and how do you differentiate? I mean, like differentiate from aggregate to iterative. How does iterative work and how does aggregate work? And where do you use iterative? And where do you use the aggregate, and what takes between aggregate and iterative functions, some of the functions they will take the space in the database table, and the other is like on the go function kind of thing, which does not occupy much of the space in database.
What is that called?
That is the aggregate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The one which doesn't take space and the one which takes space. The difference.
Doesn't take space is aggregate, does take space is
Mm,
calculate,
no, no,
sorry, iterative.
no, 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 no.
Measure
Aggregate is
and
the one which won't take space. Iterative will take space because it go by row and row by row. That's the reason it takes long time. I mean, like
See,
it stores more memory because it goes rows by rows and it has to add up and sum up and do all the things.
there are two things. One is which is taking space. One is which is it doesn't take any space. So that
Yeah.
comes to calculated column and measure. So measure
measures.
doesn't take
Yeah.
any place.
Yes,
Measure
sorry,
is
I
on
was
the
confused.
fly. Okay, the measure looks like these. All these that we are categorized are measures. These are all on the fly calculations. Doesn't take up any space. Doesn't link to any other dedicated tables. Right. Whereas calculated column looks like these. Like, can you see this order category? Calculated column looks like this, which takes up space, right? So
Yeah, we
that
got that
physically stores it. So the again you kind of added another points where iterative function is something which iterates throughout the table, scans the entire table, goes row by row, and does the calculation. While doing the calculation, how does it do? It kind of keeps that rows multiplication. Let's assume we have some multiplication for this total cost. This is a calculated column, and this is an iterative function. So what it does is it multiplies order quantity and total unit cost. This order quantity 5 into 130. This value is stored here, and then it's multiplied again. The value is stored in here. So all those values are stored in its memory. It's not a space again. Don't be confused. It's in a memory, and then at the end it does the finalization. For example, iterative function, we have used it here. Let me show you. I've used this iterative function in few examples. All these are iterative functions that are that.
Average cost and
Yeah, so you
max
can see
cost,
some x.
whatever cost.
Yeah, x.
Mm.
So average cost and all the cost related we have done using the iterative function. Yes, you're right. So here you can see we are seeing boss scan through this table and multiply these things. So while doing that, it keeps that values on under memory of it. Again, when I say memory, it's not a physical memory, right? Again, there's a chance of confusion. Just for its calculations, saving it on a virtual memory and then doing the summation at the end. So the way it does the calculation changes. So that's the technical part of understanding of the iterative function. Difference between iterative and aggregative. Whereas a calculated column and measure is something more physical or more we can where you can say this doesn't take space, and the other one which is calculated column does take space. Yeah. All right. So far we have covered different functions, aggregative functions, iterative functions. We have seen the list of functions and we have created so many measures. Today we are going to learn table functions.
Santosh, I have
Santosh,
a quick question
Mhm.
from the last class.
Yeah,
So I
please.
need to know the difference between count and pounte, and where we use count and where we use pounte. I mean, is both are same or do we have any difference? So I wanted to know that. And another question, I need to share my screen. I have to just ask.
Yeah, you can go ahead with that first. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
okay.
just give you the permission.
All right. Yeah.
Share multiple participants. Yeah, I can share now.
All right. So you're able to see my screen now?
Just a second. Let me stop my. Yes, yes.
Okay. So as you mentioned, we have created a key measures table, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we did all the calculations. I mean, whatever iterative and aggregate functions we did, and
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that this table has been created here, and
Yeah.
only average sales has been is visible. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
so I need to know why average sales alone is populated here, and why all I mean others are not here. So just wanted to know, like.
So there's two things why because so you created all these measures after the key measures table, or you have created it in another table and moved it here. Like how?
No, after creating this key measures table, I have created all this.
Okay. Usually, what happens is right click. I mean, go to the key measures table on the right side.
Okay.
We have three dots right on the end. Yeah,
Yes.
click on it.
Okay.
So here, okay. Can you go to the Power BI desktop? I mean, the report view and do this. Go to the
The
report view. Yeah, report view and do this because it acts. We get different options activated on different screens. So yeah, try doing the same thing from here.
okay.
So you can see new measure option. So if you are coming from here and doing
Mhm.
it, will directly sit in that. So otherwise, what happens sometimes they won't sit in the same key measures table depending on the way you have added. But still, you wanted to
Okay.
see also, you can go back. I'll show you data model. Go back.
Okay.
So there's another trick I can show you. So for example, click on average total sales.
Okay. The
And
dots.
no dot, no need the dots. You can just click on the properties in between. The properties
Oh,
pane
here.
in between. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Here, I think the home table is home measures table itself. Why it is not showing? So this is the home table which says this is belonging to this particular key measures. So
Mhm.
minimize this. This should already be there. Minimize this. Try to collapse and click on that key measures table in between the table in the model key measures table.
Santosh, I think we have to drag and drop the side thing, scroll down so we can see. Just now I look at my system, so scroll down
I mean,
side. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there.
oh,
It's there. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
oh, okay,
You have to
okay.
increase the table size. Yeah, increase the table size. Drag it down. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. It's
Got it.
already there.
Got it.
That's what.
Okay.
Mhm.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Shoo. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah. So that's what I
I'll.
was thinking. But the first thing that we need to check is properties. If it is already home table is showing as key measures table, definitely it should be a part of it. So yeah.
Okay. 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 Yeah. All right.
Sometimes
So
what
this
happens, it
system.
that won't be there. So you need to
Hmm.
manually change the home table as the whatever table you wanted. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other one, as I have mentioned, just wanted to know about count and counting,
Oh
where we
yeah.
use both the things. Yeah.
Okay. So count A is something, for example, let's say, let me share my screen again. There's not much of difference. So both the things do the same job. Okay. For example, let's we had a students table here, right? So we have added some manual table if you remember students table. This was our. I'll try to edit this table to make sure I entered some more values to it. Yeah, I'll add some. We have added a blank value. Let's see. Not picking up. So we'll take as a text sometimes. Now it is stored properly. There's a blank value now. Right? Yeah. So let me just close and apply. I'm going to write the count and count a functions now. What I say is I'll create any measure within this only instead of measures table just to make. I'm writing something count uh, of students, student name, count a of student. So whenever you are wanting to learn about any measure, you write those two, compare two measures or formulas, and then try to analyze yourself. So not only this, any question, anything in future, like can learn this way. So you get like the track. So we can, what you can do is just let's click on table A, values. So what has happened here? It's doing the same job. It's just counting the values in the column. Again, this is counting the values in the same column. So count A does the number of values in a column, and basically there's not much of difference, because sometimes we use some things to avoid the blanks. Okay, sometimes we do not want the it should not be counted the blank values. So in that case, uh, there is multiple actually function, like not only count A, there's something called count x, basically, which basically one of the function doesn't count the blanks. So maybe this has taken up the blank, I'm not sure, the space. Usually when we have blanks in the data, not sure what exactly it is taking. It is taking up space. Let me. Oh, just clean it up. This thing is that I just added some space. Still counting. So basically, there is some minor difference. So usually one should, let me just check. I'm not able to calculate count A and count X, DAX. So basically, one function does not count blanks. So yeah, here we have some showcase. So so one function does not count blanks. Basically, count as the count function counts the number of cells in a row that contain non-blank values. Yeah, this should actually, the count should not count the blank values. You can see there's an data set amount. So here you can see they're having some blanks and they're doing some count of this. And yeah, I can see the count of sample amount here is three. It's not counting the space, right? So here we are manually entering the data. Basically, it's taking up some character. But if the data we have originally when we import from Excel has got an actual blank value, right? So that we have remove. Generally, what we do is we in the transformations we kind of handle that. But usually what happens in some cases, even though you handle that, the data might be in this format where one of the column would definitely had a blank value where they forgot to enter the blanks, right? I mean the amount.
Yeah.
So in this scenario, as you can see, the example that has been given, count of some table dot amount. That means they are counting this amount column. Here we
Hmm.
are only showing three values because it's not counting the blank values. So you can look at the definition also. It does the same thing. The count function counts the number of cells in a column that contain non-blank values. Whereas a count a will actually counts, count a function counts the number of cells in a column that are not empty, right? So, uh, so just count the, I think both are one and the same almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, both are one and the same. That's why you're getting the same values. I think it's doing the job. So there's something called count text. I think the one which does non-blank results when evaluating the results or the expression. This is evaluation. Context. What do you see about context when I say X? I told you something.
It's
Context.
an
Table.
iterative
Exactly. Context is an iterative function. Count AX again. So the same thing. The count AX.
counting with X
Non-blank results when evaluating this. The same thing. It's also an iterative function, but it does the count A. So let's see one more thing. Count and count A. Then what is the difference? There should be some difference. The formulas 4 3 out is blank. Okay, 4 3 blank and the output is 3 4. Everything is same. The output you can say I just compared these answers. Everything is same. The see there are multiple functions like I was saying in the initial part of the DAX sessions, right? There are so many thousands of functions.
Okay.
So sometimes they are repeated. The way it works is different. That's it. Sometimes internally, how they build is they write some complex logic behind the scenes. They create this internal iterations, and they have this all these functions within it. So the way it does is different. Because even during the learning of our date functions, I will be showcasing you so many date functions. You'll be wondering even the date. So some of the date functions already does the job. Why are we having so many? But the way you use is different. Like sometimes we are comfortable using that, sometimes this. So I can say like in you can see there's so many functions. Like some summarize column, some selected. So all these are functions. Fx you can see on the left side. Fx are functions. The other ones are key measures. Similar way count. Let's count a count x count blank. Here we can count the blanks. You can see right.
Okay.
Want,
Yeah.
count the number of blanks in a column. So you can say one blanks in this particular table if you do that, right? Count. So there are so many functions. Again, we don't have any, you know, standard rule that you should always choose this or. Okay, we have to just
Okay.
see the definition. Maybe you can just do some googling because there's thousands of DAX functions out there, especially DAX guide PDF that I'll be sharing you with anyway. So this DAX guide is having literally thousands of functions. This is, for example, you can see ABS, Ecrin, ACOS. We'll never use them. I never use, for example, if I pick this ACOT, I never used in my all 5 years of
Okay.
Power BI experience. But there are
Okay.
there. So, what happens is, suppose you are working with some financial client and you tend to use some set of functions which are more relevant to that particular thing, right? So which does deal with dates. Use more of a dates function. If you are dealing morely with text in your report, you will work with the text related function. We never know where which set of you can say total month to date, quarter to date, year to date. When you are working with financial data, you end up working with these kind of functions mostly, right? You
Okay.
can see how it
Okay.
is syntax and an example. You can see well. So it's all depends on different things like username, thousands of functions they keep getting added, and we might never get to learn all the functions for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So it's important that whatever we are showcasing here, just cover up them first, because I will be showing you all the key functions that are majorly used in all of these developers, with all of the developers. Okay. Built upon that, we can, even if you get a question saying that it's which is out of the box DAX function, you can say, yeah, I never use that function, but yeah, definitely I could explore it and
Okay.
use it.
Okay.
Because when
Santosh,
Mhm.
I have doubt. Um,
Yeah, Swapna, tell.
Actually, in DAX, means sorry, in iterative functions, while when you are using, see, for example, I'll open my screen. Sorry. Yeah. See, when you, for example, if you take average, you are using in table, comma, expression.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. In aggregative function, average and table. Okay. Sorry, column name. You are using column name. See, what my doubt is, in average, in max and minimum, the expression is same.
Yeah.
Am I missing any logic over there? I really did not understand why we used same expression in all that functions, especially in iterative.
Yeah, so for example, max x, this is max cost is the formula is max x, okay. And then we
Mhm.
have something called min cost, min x. Can you see the difference? Only this is changing.
Yeah,
And average cost, average x. This is the
yeah,
one we
that's
are
what.
changing. We're not changing
Yeah,
anything else, but we're just changing this one. Okay.
yeah.
So see, the we are writing. So our target was to identify what are the maximum sales. Okay, let me show. What are the maximum sales of a specific product? What are the minimum sales of a specific product? Okay. When you say maximum sales of a specific product, what happens is uh, you are trying to understand what are the overall costs and pick up the max cost. So for that, there's a dedicated function which is maxx. The expression is the table that you are wanted to look is same. Definitely, that's not going to
Yes.
change. And the formula of the cost, we are talking about the cost, right? Total cost
Mm.
is this multiplied by this. That will be remaining same. So out of this formula, we are saying what is the minimum of this, what is the maximum of this, what is the average of this. So that remains the same, right? So even this applies to anything. If you're talking about some salary of a person, what is the salary of an employees in a particular company? Let's assume 100 employees are there in that company. There's a table called employee name, employee salary, right? ID. So if I wanted to calculate the same thing, like I can say what is the average salary of these 100 employees, right? It does the same thing, average of salaries. What is the maximum salary of this 100 employees? Maximum max of the salaries, right? I'm talking about aggregative function. If I'm going with the iterative function, I'll
Yes.
do the same thing. Average x of that particular employee table, comma salary itself. I'll salary column. Okay. The same thing with max x, minimum x, right? Because it just does the same thing. It scans through the entire table, entire sales table. It does the multiplication. Here, if it is salary, it will be only one column, salary column, right? Simply salary
Mm,
column. And then
mm.
it will scan through the entire employees table, and you'll get that maximum value of this employee table. Okay, maximum value of salary. If it is min x, minimum value of the salary. Average x is the average of the all the salary. Sum it up. It does its duty as per the formulas job. You don't
Okay,
know.
whatever we did the last previous session, it involves that two particular columns. That's why we wrote those columns.
Yeah, that's why we
That's what
written it
you're.
always. So you will
Okay,
not get
now I
confused like
understood.
why you have written it, but because that is doing the that is giving us the answer. So here in this case, I told you, right? So minimum salary, what is the minimum salary in this company? I could say, I could write minimum X. Let's scan through the entire table because it's an X is there, and does the give me the minimum value of this 100 salaries.
Got it, got it.
Yeah,
Thank you,
same
thank
thing. This formula is not different because the purpose, the requirement is same, but only
you.
the
Okay, understood.
yeah. That's it.
Thank you.
So yeah, but good to see that you guys are analyzing and you're on the track for this DAX. Okay. Windows Control D. All right. So we will be learning a couple of table functions. So are we done with the question?
Yes, Santosh, I'm good.
Okay. Cool. So we'll be creating a measure. So in this session, we'll be learning some table functions. So far, I told you initially using DAX. Using DAX, what else we can create? We said measures, said calculated columns, and also tables.
Calculated tables.
Calculated
Exactly, calculated
tables.
tables. Yeah. So there's some function. We'll be talking about few table functions. That's where we learn how to create a calculated table. So right now I'm going to create a calculated table. It's as simple as this. But what I've done something which is not right. So I want you guys to identify that. Already did it. So let me say this is a table function. Okay, filter is one of the table function. So what it does, returns a table that has been filtered. It returns a table. It's not a value. It's not a something metric or not. It is going to return a big table. Yeah, filter function. So what I say, I want a small table from sales table. You can see the syntax: filter, table, comma, filter, expression. Table is what? Sales table. What is your expression? Let me say, like, there's some order quantity. I wanted to filter the data only which is basically greater than 12. Okay, this is a condition I'm writing. I know there are several order quantities in that sales table, but I'm looking for a small table where I can get a set of table which is only giving me the values which is having orders which is greater than 12. Yeah, you can write any expression. This is one of the conditions that I'm clicking on. Okay, I'll see an error now. I told you already have done some mistake. Somebody who has some, the conceptual wise understanding should be able to tell this. So can you tell, like, at least read this error and tell me what could be the issue that I've done. The expression
So
refers
here,
to
Santosh, you are mentioning both table and table along with column name, right? So here
Actually,
it is
iterative.
showing that it is you are pointing to multiple columns,
expression refers to multiple columns. Multiple columns cannot be converted.
cannot be converted to scalar value. So if we remove anyone instead of sales, I mean like sales, comma, sales order quantity. If we, I mean like it's my understanding, okay. If we remove the sales table and just give that sales sales order quantity greater than 12, I think if we give only sales order quantity, that would work.
Can you see the syntax once again? Filter,
Yes, filter, sales,
table,
yes,
comma, which is sales,
uh-huh,
filter expression.
filter expression. So
You have done it correctly. So
sales,
I would say do not have any issue with this part. Okay.
yes.
And tactically everything is right. So there's something else. Something else which is in the basic step that we've started with.
X,
Say,
that filter
sales,
X should be
comma,
used.
there is a space. There is a space between
No,
sales
it's
and comma.
fine. That could be, this is a comma, so I think you like this as an
Oh,
issue. Yeah,
okay.
it's not an issue. If you wanted to double check that, I can show you that. So understanding is very
I
important.
think Santosh,
Is
the
it
scalar
iterative or
value.
aggregate?
Yeah. Then throw an error. Understood the syntax is correct. What is that? Scalar. Somebody was trying to say something.
Yeah, scalar value greater than 12, you said, isn't?
Uh-huh.
So it's in a multiple time, isn't like, I mean, like the order quantity. So it may not take.
No. If it is,
No, it's
if the
not.
condition is
Okay.
failing, it will say zero records. Whatever
Okay.
you said, it's even if the condition is failing, it should give me the zero records. That's totally fine. So I'll give you some clue. It
It's
says we are actually getting, for example, filter sales table and which is greater. So what do you get the output? You get a small set of table only, right? The sales table is further minimized. Maybe let's assume we have 100 rows in the sales table, just for a discussion. Out of the 100 rows, five rows are only having order quantity which is greater than 12. Let's assume that. So your output will be 5 rows. Your output will be the same sales table. The sales table, if you look at this sales table, let's see order quantity. Oh, greater than 12. In fact, we do not have it. So we'll say equal to 12. Let me just add it. Let me say we'll filter out the 12. Okay. How many have we have? 925. One very less. 5. Let me just click on 5 maybe. 1,000. So everything is more. So fine. We can pick up anything. 10. Think yeah. 12. Let's take it to equal to 12 instead of greater than 12. We'll say equal to 12. So what will happen equal to 12? You should get, see, usually you have 7,000 rows in this table. When you click on 12, it should get 925 rows filtered. You can see 925 rows because the 12s are, these are the values. So if you go back, you have to look at this function. If I can see, even if it's equal to 12, the error remains the same. Why? Because we can see it says, so here the concept of measure, you will get more depth. So far I showed you why are we creating measures. I showed you the calculated column is something different, which has got multiple values, and that's where you have a physical column to store them. But your measure something like, for example, I have a, I'll just pull some value here. So yeah, I'm pulling max cost, max cost. Okay. What is happening? What is this max cost is showing? This is showing for the entire thing, right? Entire
Total.
total. But where when I add the same
Mm.
thing here, let's see max cost as a table. It's this one. You can see it is dividing for each customer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's giving maximum
Yeah. So
cost.
as in the measure, what it is doing is having some aggregation, some summation or some aggregation or some iteration, some function is there, which is kind of adding it together as a single scalar value at any given context. It's changing. Here it is summing it as. If I'm adding it here, it is going to this row context and saying, okay, for this customer, this is the total sum or total maximum value. This is the customer, this is total. So your measures could be more kind of a scalar values or some metric based, which could give you an output of one singular value as a whole. Even though there are multiple values here, that doesn't mean there are multiple actually. They have single value for each row, single value for each row, isn't it? There is a row context here, so we cannot say there are multiple values. It's a single value for each row.
You're asking us to create another column which is like customer names
You're
to
close.
represent.
You're
Yeah.
close. Yeah, exactly. So you understood that. You understood the problem. We cannot continue with that measure. Exactly. So the problem is that we cannot. I started my creation of this uh, function by what I did is I went to key measures. I created a new measure, right? Which is wrong. I created a new measure like this. Actually, when I started, I told you using DAX we can create a measure. We can create a calculated column. How do you create a calculated column? New column, right? Instead of new measure, new column. You know that, right? You can create a calculated column for
Yeah.
example, new column
Mm.
here.
New
Similar
column
way,
then.
for a calculated table, there is something called new table here. Getting my point.
Yeah, and
You
getting.
understood, right? So
Yes.
when you click on new table, and I just paste the same formula, I just copy pasted. Okay, now I'll click on tick mark. Now you'll not get any error because the problem was that I was trying to create a big table in a measure, which is not right, right? Because the measure purpose is giving you a single scalar value. You are asking me to give me an output of 20 columns or 15 columns or whatever sales table columns here. Is it clear?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Did it make clear? Because that is where the conceptual understanding of the measure has come. The difference between the table value.
Basically, the table is it forms with number of columns.
Yeah, I see. Let's see that. Yeah, I just created a table and I was successfully able to see no error. And you can see the symbol here. It says table, but again there's a calculator symbol. That means calculator table
Yes.
symbol. Let's see what is it showing some data or not. Let's go back to the data set and let's click on the last one. Can you see this? The data? All the 12s. You can change the formula anytime. Like instead of 12, you can say 5. Get the different data set. You can see? Getting a point. In fact, what I do is I'll say this. I'll say order number. Instead of that filter, I'll say order number is equal to, since it's a text, right? I have to put it in the quotes. I would say 0001219. Not sure if you have too many spaces here, but yeah, let's try it. You see? One single row. So this is also a table only, but depending on your condition, it filters the data. Hope you guys have clarity now of the table function. So basically, Table function will provide you the table, a different table itself.
S-
Yes.
Seems like I'm getting and I'm not getting. Kind of. Yeah.
So that's why I'm
I
being
don't.
very slow, going slow, because
Yeah,
once you
even it's
understand it,
really confusing.
yeah, because
Yeah.
once you understand the table functions, we can move on with our DAX functions. This is the last stage that we are in, before we actually jump and So basically, what it's doing is it's kind of creating a table for you. It's a separate table that is providing you on the fly. It's a physical table that is being provided, a set of table, right? For example, uh, this is
So,
sales.
Santosh,
Mhm.
you were telling that generally we are creating measures that it won't sit in data. Now we are creating a table, calculated table. So it's creating a table in the measure. So that's not the thing. That's why we should not do in the measures.
You cannot see measures you can do, but once you understand the definition of measure, will you do it?
Yeah.
See,
No. No.
but still we do it. Still we do it as a part of the different calculation in the measure. Let's say, for example, you are writing some complex logic. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me. I'll right away give you the complex logic. Don't worry about the functions. But I'll tell you, since you have asked that question, can't we
Okay.
create that tables within the measures? I'll show you cal some calculate function. Don't worry about the calculate function. We'll be talking about it. I would say high export sales. There is something called high export sales within the sales table. What I do is I'll write some calculate function. I'll show this total sales that we already have. I'll say calculate total sales. Would use this filter, the function that we just learned. Okay, filter.
Mm.
Would say sales, and then I would say here you can see sales order quantity that we just did the same thing.
Mm.
Would say
How
is
are you coming to the next line, Santosh?
I'll show you. It's just an enter
Button
button.
are you pressing?
Alt enter, alt enter.
Alt enter. Okay.
Yeah. So as you can see, uh, I'm not writing in the single line just because it will look clear and understandable in by writing this, like this, the format. So the calculate function, what I'm doing is I'm asking to calculate total sales,
Mhm.
but for this table, this is a new table that I'm entering.
Mm.
Getting my point. The filter, just now we have written this table, right? So in fact, we have written a similar table where just so that will give me the singular value. Again, this is singular value because it uses the total sales, but for this table, not for the original sales table, not for the original sales table. This is a shortened table. You're getting my point. So let me just add this. Where is that? What happened to this one? I've written some. Is it gone? Okay, table function here we have. Yeah. So let me just copy this one. This will have one record, right? So if I go to calculate high export sales, I can add this filter. Okay. So I've added this new condition. What it is doing is basically it does the calculation for only this table. How many rows it has, it doesn't matter. Right now we know it is having only one row.
Mm.
Yeah, but it will give me the total
Yeah.
sales for that one row. Right. If I pick it up here, I export
Mm.
it, drag it up here. I make it as a value. I export sales is basically blank. Why? Let's go back and look at the data. This is a row that we had, right? So I can minimize this. So it says I put some condition where the sales
Sales order 219. Yeah.
total sales,
Total sales.
total
Yeah.
sales. But somehow I think this is not the part of high. No, I export sales. Maybe the category is not filtering. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
because
what
it's
it does
going
is,
medium. Mm.
yeah, but basically what it does the summation of that. So even though if you
Okay.
have a smaller set of table, it will work. So if you have a small set of table,
Okay.
to be frank, in fact, we are putting the same different filter like here, some set of proper table. So it is taking the subset of the table. The working is going
Okay.
on, the total sales is happening on the subset of the table. So you might have a different small tables here. So that's
Okay.
where you can use the table. So your original question was, can't we use that table here in the measures? Yes, why can't we use? We can use it but we have to use it in wherever it is required. For example, here I'm using it in the filters condition within the calculate function. But directly, if you want to
Okay.
use the filter function here instead of calculate function, it give me an error because the output is called so many table columns as a table. But here the output is only single value total sales. For this table, it is calculating the total sales.
Okay.
Got it? This question answers your,
Somewhat. Yeah.
this is a very good question actually. This is where you understand
Mm.
we are using the table, using a new table concept, different way.
Yeah.
But if you are using within the measure, yes, this is how we have to use it. So now you get the difference.
Mm.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
where we are learning the table functions, because sometimes you create DAX functions to calculate only some advanced, calculating the advanced part of it like this, right? You already have a
Mm.
sales table, but you always don't rely on it. You wanted to write some additional logic saying that I want to look into only small set of data and then do the total sales for the only that set of data. Right? That is what high export sales. I wanted to, kind of look into the high export sales in the sense like, we have this,
Order category.
yeah, export
Yeah.
again, especially you have the export part, like
Oh,
export,
okay.
distributor, wholesale. So we filter the export sales, and then we order quantity, which is, maybe only 8 from that. So we are writing two conditions. So we'll get 147 filter rows, you can see. So for this set of data, you do the
Mm.
calculation and give me the values. I'm not interested in all of them. I'm interested only in the export channel. There might be distributor and wholesale, which I'm not interested in. That calculation is doing within the measure. You're getting my point.
Yeah.
So that's where we use the table functions within the measures. That's the main, core part of it. I totally understand it's kind of
Yes.
confusing, but I want you to repeat this thing. And when you re-implement this, writing this, just like whatever I've done, and see the difference, what is happening, and try to, understand what is happening.
Okay.
So to next session, we will be learning few more table functions, and we'll be
Mm-hmm.
jumping onto the calculate function, which is the core part of our DAX. So then you will moving on with our
Oh,
other functions. So we are almost, the conceptual wise difference we are done. Now we will be jumping on with a lot of DAX functions. We will be creating a lot of metrics using calculate function. So now you understand this table function, like you know how it is being done. And going forward in our calculate functions, we'll be creating so many table functions, because we'll be doing our calculation in the subset of the tables, not the original tables, majority of the times.
okay.
Okay. Okay, I know you guys. We'll
Santosh, I
see.
have a doubt.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Uh, Whatever. Now you said about the table functions,
Mhm.
calculated table.
Mhm.
It is kind of we are creating a table by using the filters. Also, we can get the data, but creating calculated table is easier than that one, right? Did you understand what I said?
Can you repeat your question?
Okay. Calculated tables, we can. It is easier than creating a table. Creating a tables with a set of filters. What we did 2 days back, 3 days back, we did some filters. We kind of create a lot of tables, right? With a filter.
Queries in the
Yeah.
transformation, we were saying edit Power Query Editor.
Not in the Power Query Editor, in the Power BI desktop only, by using some visualizations and some using some slicers and all those things, we created some tables.
No. These are visuals. They're not tables actually. We just filtered the values. It's filtering it. So we have not created any tables as such. Like this, you can see. This for so this is a part
Okay,
of visualization. It's not a table creation. Nothing. It is automatically done. We didn't do anything.
okay,
We just
then it
dragged
won't
it.
store any data. It won't take any space.
No,
That
no
means.
space. These are visualizations which are just
Oh,
interacting with each other. There's nothing space here. Okay.
okay.
It's just dynamically showing us the value, just showing you the value on the screen. That's it. This is the front view that users will look at, right? So either it
Okay,
is in a
okay.
table, but it could be in any graphical format. Just it's a visual. So basically, it's a visual. You can see I'm filtering it. It's a visual. It's in a tabular, graphical format. That's it. So since it's easier for us on eyes initially while doing the analysis, I'm showing this table visual. But the same thing can be a different visual. overall. Okay, it's the same. It does the same thing. It doesn't store anything. It's a visual. Okay,
Okay,
not
understood.
a table.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
And one more thing, Santosh. We saw today about calculated tables using filter function, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, is that the thing? Like filter is the only function that can be
No, no, no.
used
We
for
have few more
calculating.
functions that we are going to learn. Actually, we should have done
Oh,
today, but you guys have a lot of stuff.
okay.
So there are a few more table functions that we'll be covering. Just like iterative functions, we have covered few things, and aggregative few
Hmm.
functions. So just like that, a set of table functions which I'm going to show you.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah. So you'll be
okay.
getting idea like which one to use, what, and all. Yeah.
So and okay, I mean, so you mean to say that aggregative iterative functions is separately similar to calculated table functions? I mean, is it a
Yeah,
separate
the
set
separate
of thing?
categories. See, so there are
Oh,
date,
okay.
date functions, time intelligence functions, text-based functions. So wherever there are set of that iterative functions, aggregative functions. Just a name of that is categorized like that. But wherever
Mm,
you need whatever function you have a requirement, you can use it, right? So sometimes you use calculate and use the table function within it, just like you have to fulfill your requirement. Yeah.
okay, okay, okay.
To do some practice, yeah, but it takes some time to digest this new topic, so spend some time, and don't give a lot of gap, because you're already learning a good way, and keep that concepts intact. Today also you kind of learn table function, and we'll continue with our DAX journey. We have a lot more things to do. All right, then I'll wrap it up today.
Santosh, one last question. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
please, yeah, no.
So for iterative function also, we had the same kind of DAX formula, right? Like what do we call table, comma, expression. So
Mhm.
the only difference is like we were using X in between the functions, right? Some X and then the
Mhm.
sales, comma, expression, correct?
Mhm.
So same kind of thing we were using it today. Filter, uh,
Mhm.
table, comma, expressions. So how do we differentiate between
We don't
calculated?
differentiate. We don't differentiate. We only look at the syntax, because this syntax was saying, if you look at the while you are creating, you have seen the syntax and then written the formula, isn't it? You have written the syntax, right? For example, if
So
your syntax is the one which is the main part, like filter, syntax,
okay.
table, comma. It is asking, boss, this is a syntax. This is a
Mm,
definition. This is the rule.
mm,
This is the
mm.
rule. You have to write that way. That's it. You can see I'm some function all. The rule says that you cannot give anything else like table comma some, either table name,
Mm,
column name, you have to follow the rule. That's it. Just a rule.
okay,
Just a rule. So the value is table. So just a rule. Okay, here you can see table name or column name. You cannot give sales comma, etc. You cannot even give comma,
okay,
because it's asking only one particular thing. Boss, send me a table or a column. What are you doing? Table comma what is, so you cannot go against the rule. It's just a syntax.
okay, okay.
Every function has
Got
got
it.
its own syntax. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah. All right, guys. Then catch you in the next session. Okay.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Santosh.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.
See.